of the Star Wars original trilogy, Return of the Jedi. When the Little's artistic director, Matt Turk, asked me if I'd like to introduce this film, I said yes almost as quickly as when he mentioned they'd be showing episodes 4 through 6, and the words original theatrical release or special edition practically left my mouth before he finished his sentence. Full disclosure, here's the official answer to that question straight from the Little's website. This is a digital presentation of the remastered Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi from the 2010s. This is the only version Disney/20th Century Studios allows for the theatrical screenings. We can't guarantee which specific tweaks are or aren't in it in this presentation, so, you know, I'm a Star Wars fan, and we're known for having preferences, so I had to ask the question. But honestly, it didn't matter what the answer was going to be. I was going to show up, because it's Star Wars. Before I developed those strong opinions on Star Wars and other things, I had to start somewhere. Since Return of the Jedi premiered a year after I was born, I wasn't lining up at the box office on opening weekend. In fact, it would be about 9 years before I saw my first Star Wars. One day, I spotted a boxed VHS set of the original trilogy up on my dad's bookshelf. It was still wrapped in plastic because, as I'd come to learn, my dad didn't really like science fiction. He'd received it as a gift from someone very graciously and then put it away and promptly forgot about it. This was before the internet, so binge watching wasn't officially a thing yet, but the way I devoured those 3 VHS tapes would rival my current Netflix habits. For me, Star Wars was always a trilogy. I didn't have to wait years between each movie, just a few minutes for the tape to rewind before I could put the next one in. And again, there was no internet. So I enjoyed Return of the Jedi, blissfully unaware that its initial critical reception, blissfully unaware of its initial critical reception. I had no idea what I was watching was a big, expensive, time-consuming, essentially mechanical operation that, though harmless, is not a film that to warm the heart or stir the imagination. Vincent Canby of the New York Times. I would have been shocked to learn that the fun has gone out of the trilogy, and Return of the Jedi is just another turn of the screw. Pauline Kael of the New Yorker. In these pre-internet times, without multiple at-home newspaper subscriptions, you really had to go looking for someone to yuck your yum. For me, Return of the Jedi was the payoff, the reward for believing that redemption is possible, that help can come from the most unexpected places. It showed that those who teach us to be better are always with us, even if we can't see them, that the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own points of view, that a woman's place is truly in the rebellion, that ultimately the cruel and selfish are the architects of their own demise. And it also taught me that by banding together for a just cause and holding on to hope, we are all capable of great things. Discovering that box set opened up a whole galaxy to me, but here on Earth, I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. Said my dad wasn't into sci-fi. My brother only had eyes for Back to the Future, which is also good, but not Star Wars. And none of my friends at the time had any more than a passing interest in the trilogy. But when I got to high school, I met 2 other diehard fans and we became instant friends. Just in time for those special editions I mentioned earlier and the whole build-up to episode 1. We talked for hours about the movies. We recited scenes back to each other. We made our own costumes, and we may have acquired a pirated copy of The Phantom Menace, not to undercut beloved movie theaters like this one, but because we were desperate to memorize the choreography from the Duel of Fates lightsaber battle, with the sabers we bought at Toys R Us in the lead-up to the movie. It's more common now, but episode 1 came out at a time where resurrecting a franchise after 16 years felt impossible. For so long, Star Wars existed solely in that VHS box set, only really expanding when I learned that stories continued in the books, which felt like a gift from the gods, or at least Timothy Zahn. I thought that was as good as it was realistically ever going to get. The promise of a second trilogy was an embarrassment of riches. Now here we are. Not only was there a second trilogy, there's been a third one. Animated series, plural, live action shows, also plural, video games with rich stories. We are taking a break from working our way through Outlaws to be here right now. And comics and books and projects in the works for years to come. 10-year-old me couldn't fathom the existence of a Star Wars theme park, and 42-year-old me struggled to understand it as I was standing in the middle of Galaxy's Edge this spring with my family. Star Wars used to be contained in a box on my dad's shelf. Now it's everywhere. And as always, it is for everyone. So from one fan to another, I know we all have our preferences. Things we love and things we might only watch once or skip altogether, and that's valid. There are so many options at the buffet of Star Wars, and you don't have to like everything. But it's far more interesting to bond over the things. Oh, sorry, not the buffet, the cantina of Star Wars. I've been corrected. Was not scripted. Love it. It's far more interesting to bond over the things that we're excited about than to tear down something that might be someone else's favorite. And let me leave you with this. Your timing could not have been better. One of the greatest joys of being a Star Wars fan is watching my kid discover the saga, and to be the someone he can unabashedly share his enthusiasm with. His gateway was the Lego cartoons and video games, and since getting a taste for it, we've watched my old favorites, and, which I think is even cooler, we've explored brand new stories together. Things where he looks at me asking, what'll happen when something ends in a cliffhanger, and I can legit respond with, I don't know. But tonight is about Return of the Jedi, and I'm thrilled to watch it on the big screen again with him and with all of you. Thank you again so much for coming out to the Little tonight. And may the Force be with you always.